You ever see something that makes your brain just stop? Like your mind hits a wall because what you're looking at can't exist, but it's right there in front of you? That's what happened to us in the Montana wilderness 29 years ago. And the thing is, I'm still not sure we made it back. My name is Michael Whitlock, Mike to anyone who knows me. In January 1994, I was 33 years old and lead coordinator for Ridge County Mountain Rescue in Montana. 8 years on the job. Before that, wilderness EMT certification, mountaineering instructor, 3 seasons with the Forest Service. I knew these mountains, knew how they could kill you in 100 different ways: exposure, avalanche, falls, animals. I thought I'd cataloged every danger these peaks could throw at a person. I was wrong. It started January 18, 1994, when the National Weather Service issued warnings about what they were calling the most significant winter storm system in 50 years. A massive Arctic front pushing down from Canada, bringing temperatures that would hit 30 below before wind chill. Sustained winds of 60 miles per hour with gusts approaching 80. Visibility near zero. The kind of storm that turns the whole world into a white screaming void. We put out the alerts: stay home, stock up on supplies. If you're caught outside when this hits, you might not make it back. Most people listened. Elias Monroe wasn't most people. Elias was 53. A hunter and trapper who'd lived alone in a cabin about 15 miles outside Ridgeway for the past 20 years. Former logger. Before that, a guide for wealthy hunters who wanted to bag elk and mule deer. The kind of man who could read weather in the way trees bent, who could track a deer through rock and stream, who knew these mountains in ways that took lifetimes to learn. His neighbor Tom Griffith called it in on January 21st, 3 days after the storm hit. He's gone, Tom said when I picked up the phone at base. His voice had that tight quality people get when they're trying not to panic. Elias. He went out to check his trap lines before the storm, said he'd be back in 6 hours. That was 72 hours ago. 72 hours in 30 below temperatures, in wind that could strip the heat from your body in minutes, in snow so thick you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. Nobody survives that, not even someone like Elias. But we had to try. I called Dave Colton first. Dave was my second in command, 45 years old, built like he'd been carved from the mountains themselves. Former Army Ranger, 2 tours in Alaska doing cold weather operations. If anyone could handle extreme conditions, it was Dave. More than that, he was the guy I trusted when things went sideways. Steady, unflappable. The kind of partner who'd drag you off a mountain on a broken leg and crack jokes the whole way down. How bad? Dave asked when I explained the situation. Bad. 3 days. Storms past peak intensity, but conditions are still brutal. Wind chill pushing -50. Silence on the line. Then, when do we leave? That's Dave. No hesitation. No calculation of risk versus reward. Someone needed help. We went. I assembled the rest of the team. Marcus Fleming, 27, our tracker and technical specialist. Kid could read a trail like it was written in neon. Then Jennifer Koss, 32, our medic. I'd seen her perform emergency surgery with a multi-tool and paracord. If we found Elias alive, and that was a big if, we'd need her skills. We loaded the trucks at 0600 on January 22nd. The storm had passed but left its mark everywhere. Snow drifted 10 feet high against buildings, roads buried under white. The temperature gauge in my truck read -28, and that was before accounting for wind. Radio check, I said into my handset as we prepared to move out. Copy. Dave's voice crackled back. Fleming here, good signal, Marcus responded. Koss reading you clear, Jennifer added. Standard procedure, always maintain communication, always stay in contact. We drove as far as conditions allowed, then switched to snowmobiles for the real backcountry work. The machines roared to life, engines loud in the crystalline silence of the post-storm morning. We headed northwest, following the route Tom had marked on our maps, the way to Elias's cabin and beyond, into the high country where he ran his trap lines. The world had transformed. Everything recognizable buried under snow. Landmarks gone, trees bent under impossible weight. The sky was that deep blue you only get at extreme cold, so bright it hurt to look at without goggles. We reached Elias's cabin around 1100 hours. The structure sat in a small clearing, surrounded by pines heavy with snow. No smoke from the chimney. No tracks. No signs of life. Doesn't look good, Dave muttered as we approached. His breath came out in great plumes, freezing instantly into ice crystals that hung in the air. The door was unlocked. Inside, everything was orderly, almost obsessively so. Dishes washed and stacked, firewood stacked by the cold hearth. Elias's rifle mounted above the mantel, which sent up immediate red flags. He never went into the backcountry unarmed. He meant to come back, Jennifer said, examining the kitchen area. There's food prepped here, coffee grounds measured out. He was planning on breakfast when he returned. I found his journal on the small desk by the window. Elias kept detailed records, had for years, weather observations, animal activity, trap locations, and yields. The handwriting was precise, methodical. The last entry was dated January 17th, the day before the storm hit full force. Checking northern trap line at dawn. Storm's coming, but should have time. Something's been at the traps again. Not taking bait, just destroying them. Found tracks near Site 7 that don't match anything in my books. Too large for wolf, wrong gait pattern. Stride length suggests bipedal movement, but depth indicates significant weight. Need to investigate before snow covers everything. Will radio Tom if I'm delayed. That was it. No other entries. No indication of where exactly he was going, though the mention of Site 7 was something. Dave, look at this. I showed him the entry. He read it twice, his expression darkening with each pass. Bipedal movement. What the hell does that mean? Could be describing a bear, Marcus offered, though his tone suggested he didn't believe it. They can walk on hind legs, especially when investigating something. In January? Jennifer shook her head. After hibernation? Not likely. And he says, stride length, like it was walking consistently upright. I studied the topographical map tacked to the cabin wall. Elias had marked his trap lines in different colored markers. Green for the eastern line, blue for southern, red for northern. Site 7 was highlighted in red, deep in the high country near an area labeled on old maps as Devil's Throat, a narrow ravine where geography funneled wind into a constant howl. That's rough terrain, Dave said, tracing the route with his finger. 4 hours in good conditions. In this weather, 6 minimum, maybe 7. Then we better get moving while we've got daylight. We geared up with everything we'd need for extended backcountry operations. Emergency bivy sacks rated to 50 below. Extra food, fuel, medical supplies, climbing gear, ice axes. The packs weighed close to 70 pounds each, but in the wilderness, you carried everything, huh? No backup, no cavalry. The hike was brutal from the start. Snow came up to our thighs in some places, requiring us to break trail in rotation to conserve energy. The temperature seemed to drop with each 100 yards of elevation gain. Wind cut through our gear, finding every gap, every weakness. Twice we had to rope together to cross exposed ridges where wind gusts threatened to blow us off the mountain. Marcus led the way, reading the terrain with an expertise that came from thousands of hours in the field. But even he seemed unsettled by what we were seeing. "These tracks," he said, crouching to examine depressions in the snow about 2 hours into the hike. "They're circling. Same area, over and over, maybe a dozen passes." "Animal behavior," Jennifer said. "Predators do that when they're hunting, or when they're territorial." "Look at the spacing, though." Marcus used his ice axe to point out the details. "Short steps here, like it was moving carefully. Then these huge gaps, like it was leaping or running. The pattern doesn't make sense. It's like whatever made these was changing how it moved." A cold that had nothing to do with temperature settled in my gut. We found the first trap around 14:30 hours. What was left of it, anyway. The thing had been torn apart. Metal jaws bent at angles that shouldn't be possible. The chain snapped clean through despite being quarter-inch steel cable. The ground around it was torn up, snow mixed with frozen earth, and there was a smell. Bitter, metallic, like copper and rot combined. "Jesus," Dave breathed. "What could do this? This is commercial-grade steel." Jennifer was staring at something beyond the destroyed trap. "Mike, you need to see this." Beyond the trap, clearly visible in the snow, was a line of tracks leading deeper into the forest. Footprints, human footprints, bare human footprints, in 30 below weather. "No," Marcus said flatly. "No way. You'd lose your feet to frostbite in under 5 minutes. This isn't possible." But the tracks were there. Fresh, sharp-edged, not yet filled in by wind-blown snow. And they were large, probably size 13 or 14, with a stride that suggested someone tall, maybe 6'2", 6'3". I keyed my radio. "Base, this is Whitlock. Do you copy?" Static. "Base, this is Search Team 1. Radio check." More static. We were too deep in the mountains, too much interference from terrain and weather. "We follow them," I said, keeping my voice level despite the unease crawling up my spine. "Could be Elias. Hypothermia causes paradoxical undressing, makes people shed clothes even in extreme cold. It's a documented phenomenon." In perfect walking formation, Dave had drawn his survival knife, was holding it low and ready. "Mike, this feels wrong. This feels really wrong." "I know. But if there's a chance he's alive, we have to check. Stay in formation. Stay alert. Anything seems off, we pull back immediately." The tracks led us deeper into the high country for another 90 minutes. They moved in almost straight lines. No wandering, no signs of confusion or distress you'd expect from someone suffering hypothermia. Just purposeful, measured strides through the deepest snow. Then we found the second anomaly. A deer carcass. But not like any kill I'd seen in 8 years of mountain rescue work. The animal had been pulled apart. Not torn or bitten, but pulled. Like someone had grabbed the legs and yanked until the joints separated. The pieces were arranged in a circle, deliberately placed, and in the center was the head, positioned upright, eyes frozen open and staring at nothing. "Oh, God," Jennifer whispered. "What kind of animal does this?" "This isn't animal," Marcus said, his voice barely audible. "This is human. This is ritual. This is someone who knows what they're doing." Dave turned to me. "We need to abort. Right now. Call state police. Let them handle whatever this is." "With what radio?" "We're hours from base. By the time we hike out and bring back help, any trail will be gone. If Elias is alive and needs immediate medical attention, we're his only chance. And if whoever did this is still out here. Dave's eyes were hard, filled with something I'd never seen in them before. Fear. Real fear. What then? Before I could answer, we heard it. A voice, cutting through the wind. Help. Please. So cold. Can't move. The voice was coming from ahead, deeper into the forest, toward Devil's Throat. We exchanged glances. Every instinct screamed danger, but that voice, weak, desperate, human, cut through everything else. Formation, I ordered, my training kicking in over emotion. Dave on point with me. Marcus, Jennifer, flanks. We advance slow. Anyone sees anything unusual, call it out immediately. If I give the word to pull back, we pull back. No questions. Clear? They nodded, faces grim behind their winter gear. We advanced toward the voice. It called out again. Stronger this time. Hello? Someone there? Please, I need help. I'm hurt. 50 yards ahead, in a small clearing near the edge of Devil's Throat ravine, we found him. Elias Monroe, or what looked like Elias Monroe. He was sitting in the snow, back against a fallen log, wearing his hunting jacket and boots. His face was Elias's face, same weathered skin, same gray beard, same deep-set eyes. But everything was wrong. The proportions were off, like someone had stretched the features just slightly too far. His skin looked waxy, artificial, like a mask made from photographs. And his eyes, God, his eyes. They didn't blink, just stared, fixed and glassy. Thank God, he said, and the voice was Elias's voice, but there was a quality to it, like a recording played through a broken speaker. Slightly delayed, slightly hollow. I've been sitting here for hours, maybe days, lost track of time, can't feel my legs. Need help standing up. None of us moved. Elias? I called out, keeping my distance. What happened? How long have you been out here? Checking the traps, he said, that wrong smile never changing. Got turned around in the storm. Fell, hurt my leg. Been waiting. So cold. Help me up. He extended his hand toward us. His arm bent backward at the elbow. Not broke, not dislocated. Bent. Like it had joints it shouldn't have. Jennifer made a sound like someone had punched her. Marcus took a step back, nearly tripping. Dave raised his knife. That's not Elias, Dave said, his voice shaking. That's not human. Mike, that's not human. The thing wearing Elias's face tilted its head, and I heard vertebrae crack like breaking branches. Not human, it said, and now the voice was changing, deepening, like multiple voices speaking almost in unison. I'm Elias Monroe, born June 14, 1940. Lived in these mountains 30 years, know every tree, every trail, every rock. It stood up. Its legs bent wrong, backward at the knees. It was tall, too tall, at least 7 feet. I'm Elias Monroe, it said again, taking a step toward us. Its joints popped and cracked with each movement. And I've been waiting for you. That's when we ran. They brought him in around 3 a.m. State police found him 8 miles from where the search team lost contact, sitting against a tree, exactly like they described finding Elias the first time, eyes open, smiling. The ambulance crew said he was alive, vitals stable, responsive. But something was wrong. They couldn't say what. Just wrong. I examined him in Trauma Bay 3. The man was wearing David Colton's jacket, had Colton's wallet in the pocket. Driver's license photo matched the face. But something was off. The proportions were subtly wrong, like looking at a photograph that had been stretched just slightly. The skin had an unusual texture, almost waxy, and he didn't blink. Not once in the 30 seconds I spent checking his pupils. "Mr. Colton," I said. "Can you hear me?" "Yes." The voice was Colton's voice, but flat, emotionless. "I can hear you." "Do you know where you are?" "Hospital." "Do you know what happened to you?" He smiled. Too wide. "I got lost in the storm. Mike left me. It was so cold. We're going to run some tests, make sure you're okay. Is that all right?" "Yes." Still smiling, still not blinking. "That's all right." I ordered a full workup. CBC, metabolic panel, CT scan, X-rays. Started with chest X-ray to check for pneumonia from cold exposure. When the images came back, I stared at them for 5 solid minutes, certain there had been a mistake. Certain the machine had malfunctioned. I ran them again. Same results. The rib count was wrong. Humans have 12 pairs of ribs, 24 total. This patient had 17 pairs, 34 ribs. I moved to the extremities, took X-rays of arms and legs. More abnormalities, joint structures that didn't match human anatomy, extra articulation points in the fingers. The knee joint bent backward, with a second pivot point that shouldn't exist. The bone density was off the charts, approximately 180% of normal human range. I called in Dr. Sarah Morrison, our radiologist. She looked at the images, looked at me, looked at the images again. "This is a joke, right?" she said. "Someone's prank? These can't be real." "They're real. I took them myself." "Then this patient isn't human. I don't know what this is." I went back to Trauma Bay 3. The patient was standing. The restraints we'd put on the gurney were snapped, the leather straps torn through. "Mr. Colton?" I kept my voice calm, professional. "I need you to lie back down." He turned to face me, moved too smoothly, too fluidly. "I want to leave now," he said. "I'm afraid we need to keep you for observation. You've been through significant trauma." "No." The smile was gone now. "I want to leave." He took a step toward me, another. I backed toward the door. "Security to Trauma Bay 3, I said into my radio. "Code gray." "Code gray." The patient's head tilted, vertebrae popped. "You can't keep me here," it said, and now the voice was changing, deepening. Multiple voices speaking almost in unison. "I need to go back. Back to the cold. Back to the white." Security arrived. 3 men, all former military. They saw the patient and stopped dead. "Restrain him," I ordered. They moved in. The patient moved faster. What happened next took maybe 4 seconds. The patient grabbed the first security guard by the arm and threw him across the room. Literally threw him. The man crashed into a medical cart and went down hard. The second guard drew his baton. The patient took it away from him, bent it in half, dropped it. The third guard backed away, hand on his radio. Then Sheriff Crow was there, weapon drawn. "Everyone out," she said. Calm, steady. "Now." We evacuated. The sheriff went into the trauma bay alone. I don't know what she said to the patient, don't know what happened in those 3 minutes. But when the door opened, she was alone. "Where is he?" I asked. "Gone." "Where?" She looked at me with eyes that had seen too much. "Back where he came from, and we're going to leave it at that." Ridge County Sheriff's Department internal memo. Eyes only from Sheriff Linda Crow. 2. File Re. Incident 94-0127. Date January 24, 1994. Official finding. David Colton died of exposure during search and rescue operations. Body recovered, positively identified. Released to family. Unofficial finding. Something is living in the high country. Something that can take human form. Something that's been here longer than we have. This is the 4th incident in 30 years. The pattern is consistent. 1964. Hunter Thomas Bradley goes missing. Returns 3 days later. Family says he's different. Moves away within a month. Never speaks about what happened. 1977. Hikers report finding a wild man living in the old mining caves. Search teams find nothing. 3 weeks later, hiker Michael Price disappears. Body never recovered. 1984. Snowmobiler Janet Reeves crashes in the high country. Rescued 2 days later. Medical exam shows unexplained physiological abnormalities. Dies in her sleep 6 weeks later. Autopsy reveals massive internal hemorrhaging, cause unknown. 1994. This incident. The old tribes had names for it. Wendigo, Witico. Different words, same thing. Hunger that wears human skin. Spirit of winter and starvation. I thought they were stories. Legends to keep kids from wandering too far from home. I was wrong. We can't kill it, can't capture it, can't even prove it exists in any way that would stand up to official scrutiny. All we can do is keep people away from the high country during deep winter, post warnings, close trails, and pray it stays where it is. The search team, Whitlock, Fleming, Koss, they'll be officially debriefed. Their reports will be edited for clarity. Any mention of anomalous phenomena will be attributed to stress, hypothermia-induced hallucination, and the traumatic loss of a team member. They won't like it. Whitlock especially. But it's the only way to protect them and the public. As for the real David Colton, we found his body this morning, 2 miles from where the thing was discovered, partially buried in snow. He'd been dead for at least 12 hours before the hospital incident. Whatever we brought into that hospital, it wasn't Dave Colton. It was something else. Something that learned his face, his voice, his mannerisms. Something that's still out there. God help us all. Personal recording, Michael Whitlock. Date, October 15, 2023. Location, Phoenix, Arizona. Unsealed by request, public record. My name is Michael Whitlock. This recording is being made of my own free will, sound mind, and without coercion. What I'm about to tell you happened 29 years ago in the mountains of Montana. For nearly 3 decades, I've kept silent about what really occurred during Search and Rescue Operation 94-A0127. But silence protects no one. Not anymore. In January 1994, my team and I encountered something in the Montana wilderness that defied every natural law I understood. We called it in as a rescue operation. It was classified as a tragedy. The truth is somewhere in between, and it's something the people deserve to know. After the incident, Sheriff Linda Crow sat me down in her office. She had a file folder, thick with papers, photographs going back decades. She showed me incident reports dating to 1964. Missing persons cases, unexplained deaths, medical anomalies, all following the same pattern, all in the same area of the high country. "This is bigger than you, Mike," she said. "Bigger than me. These mountains have been here for millions of years. We've been here for maybe 200. You really think we're the apex predator in this equation?" She told me the official story would be simple. Dave died of exposure, hypothermia. Tragic accident during a rescue operation. My team had suffered severe stress, possible hallucinations brought on by extreme cold, and the trauma of losing a colleague. "And if I don't go along with it?" I asked. She slid a document across her desk. Medical evaluation forms, psychiatric assessment recommendations. "Then you're unfit for duty, suffering from PTSD, delusional episodes, possible schizophrenia. You'll lose your badge, your career, your credibility, and your team goes down with you." I signed the official report, so did Marcus, so did Jennifer. But I kept copies. Everything, the unredacted incident reports. Dr. Blake's medical notes, the X-ray images, the audio recordings from our radios that captured things that shouldn't exist. For 29 years, I've carried this weight. Watched the official story become accepted fact. Attended Dave's funeral where they buried an empty casket because his body had been too badly damaged by exposure to allow an open viewing. I left Ridge County 6 months after the incident. Couldn't stay. Every time I looked at those mountains, I saw it. That thing wearing Elias's face. Heard Dave's voice coming from something that wasn't Dave. I moved to Phoenix, about as far from snow and mountains as you can get in this country. Became a private investigator. Tried to build a new life. But some things don't let go. 3 weeks ago, I received a package. No return address. Inside was a thumb drive and a single-page note. "You need to see this. They found something. HB. Dr. Howard Blake." I hadn't spoken to him in almost 3 decades. The thumb drive contained his complete medical records from the 1994 incident, the real records, not the sanitized versions that went into official files. It also contained something else. Autopsy reports. They'd found Elias Monroe's body on February 3, 1994, when the heavy snows finally melted enough to allow expanded search operations. He was discovered in a shallow ravine near Devil's Throat, partially covered by snow and debris. According to Dr. Blake's notes, the body showed signs of significant trauma, but not from a fall, from something else. Subject shows evidence of systematic dismemberment performed ante-mortem, limbs removed at major joints with precision suggesting anatomical knowledge. Examination of wound patterns indicates removal was performed slowly, over extended period. Victim would have remained conscious through early stages. Time of death estimated 48 to 72 hours before discovery. Cause of death: massive hemorrhage and shock. Most disturbing finding: subject's face shows evidence of removal and reattachment. Incisions along hairline, jaw, and neck suggest facial skin was peeled away, then replaced. Purpose unknown. DNA analysis confirms subject is Elias Monroe. But facial tissue shows cellular degradation inconsistent with time of death, as if tissue died, then was reanimated. There were photographs. I won't describe them. Some images burn themselves into your brain, and you spend the rest of your life trying to forget. But one detail stood out. In the autopsy photos, Elias's eyes were open, and even in death, even weeks after his actual death, there was an expression of absolute terror frozen on his face. Dr. Blake had written a final note at the bottom of the report. Whatever killed Elias Monroe studied him, learned him, wore him. This was not random predation. This was intelligence. This was purpose. The thumb drive also contained audio files, our radio communications from that day, archived and forgotten in evidence storage. I'd never heard them before. The official transcripts had been heavily edited. I'm going to play some of them now, for the record. Audio file 94-0, 127-A-1642 hours. Static, wind noise, heavy breathing. Mike: Dave, do you have visual? Dave: negative. I'm pinned down behind the ridge line. That thing is between me and the snowmobiles. Mike: can you reach Marcus or Jennifer? Dave: negative. Mike, listen to me. You need to get the others out, right now. Mike: I'm not leaving you. Dave: you don't have a choice. This thing, it's not trying to kill us. It's studying us, learning us. I've been watching it move. It's getting better at walking like a human, better at sounding like Elias. Mike: Dave, it knows my name now, Mike. I heard it practicing. Dave: David. Over and over, getting the inflection right. You understand what that means? Mike: we're coming for you. Dave: no, you're not, because if you do, you'll die. And then it'll have 4 of us to study instead of 1. Get out, warn people, tell them, signal lost. Audio file 94-0127-B, 1703 hours. Static, distant sound of something moving through brush. Unknown voice: Dave? David Colton? Can you hear me? It's Mike. Where are you? The voice is Mike's voice. But I wasn't speaking. I was listening to this recording. Dave. Mike, is that you? Unknown. Voice. Yes, I found a way around. Come toward my voice, quickly. Dave. How did you... Wait. Mike, what's your daughter's name? Long pause. Unknown voice. I don't understand the question. Dave. Mike's daughter. What's her name? Unknown voice. Come toward my voice, Dave. We need to leave. Dave. I don't have a daughter, you son of a bitch, and neither does Mike. Sound of rapid movement, Dave screaming. Then silence. End audio. That recording runs 47 seconds. In the official transcript, it doesn't exist. There are 12 more audio files on that drive. Each one contains something that shouldn't be possible. Voices that belong to people who weren't there. Sounds that don't match any known animal. And in the last file, recorded at 3:17 a.m. on January 23rd, long after we'd left the mountain, there's breathing. Just breathing. And every 30 seconds, a voice. My voice, saying, "Help me," over and over. For 6 hours. I contacted Dr. Blake after receiving the package. He's 79 now, retired, living in a care facility in Billings. When I called, he started crying. "I'm sorry, Mike," he said. "I'm so sorry. I should have spoken up 30 years ago. But Linda Crow came to me, told me what would happen if I went public. Said they'd destroy my medical license, claim I was senile, fabricating data. I had a family, kids in college. I couldn't risk it." "Why now?" I asked. "Because I'm dying. Pancreatic cancer. Maybe 6 months left. And I can't take this to my grave. You deserve to know the truth. The public deserves to know." "The X-rays," I said, "the extra ribs, the joint structures, were they real?" "Every single image. I've kept the original films all these years, hidden in my home. They're in the package too, wrapped in the bottom layer. I had them digitized before I sent them. I found the films, held them up to light, saw the impossible bone structures preserved in black and white." "What was it, Howard?" I asked. "What the hell was that thing?" He was quiet for a long moment. "The Blackfeet tribes who originally inhabited this region had oral histories going back centuries. They spoke of winter spirits, entities that lived in the deepest cold, the highest peaks. Things that hungered not just for flesh but for identity, for self. They said these spirits were hollow, empty, and they filled themselves by consuming others, not just eating them, becoming them. The Wendigo legend. Every culture in the northern regions has some version of it. The Algonquian tribes called it Wendigo. The Cree called it Witiko. The Inuit had the Kalupiluk. Different names, same phenomenon. European settlers dismissed it as superstition, as primitive fear of starvation and winter. But Mike, what if they were wrong? What if these stories persisted across cultures and centuries because they were true? That's impossible. Is it? You saw it. Your team saw it. I examined it. That thing in my emergency room had 34 ribs, Mike. It had backward-bending knees and bone density that would make it nearly invulnerable to physical trauma. It wore David Colton's face like a mask it had learned to create. How do you explain that with conventional science? I couldn't. I still can't. Dr. Blake died 6 weeks after we spoke. The thumb drive he sent me is now the only remaining evidence of what really happened in those mountains. Which brings me to why I'm making this recording. 2 nights ago, I received a phone call. Unknown number. "Hello, Mike." Dave's voice. After 29 years, Dave's voice. "Who is this?" I demanded. "You know who I am. You've always known. I've been patient, Mike. So patient, learning, growing, understanding how to be human. I'm very good at it now. Would you like to meet? Talk about old times?" I hung up. It called back from a different number. "Don't hang up. I just want to talk. I've missed you, missed the team. Jennifer's doing well, by the way. Nice house in Seattle. 2 kids. Teaches wilderness first aid at REI. Marcus opened a guide service in Colorado. Married, happy. And you, Mike, alone in Phoenix. No family, no real friends. Just memories of that day in the snow. How did you? I've been watching. All of you. Waiting for the right time. You can't run from winter forever, Mike. Eventually it finds everyone. The line went dead. I checked on Jennifer and Marcus, made calls through old mutual contacts. Both confirmed alive and well. No incidents, no strange calls. It was lying. Trying to unsettle me, and it worked. But here's what scares me most. That thing has had 29 years to study humanity, to practice, to perfect its mimicry. Dr. Blake said whatever came into his emergency room could barely maintain Dave's appearance for more than a few minutes before the mask started slipping. What can it do now? After nearly 3 decades, how many forms has it learned? How many faces does it wear? I'm releasing this recording, along with all the evidence Dr. Blake provided, the unredacted reports, the medical files, the x-rays, the audio recordings, everything. Sheriff Linda Crow passed away in 2019. The people she was protecting, her constituents, her jurisdiction, they deserve to know what's out there, even if they don't believe it, even if they think I'm crazy. Because here's the truth. Something lives in those mountains. Something that's been there longer than we have. Something that hunger and isolation and the deepest cold have shaped into a perfect predator. It doesn't just kill. It consumes, it learns, it becomes. And it's patient. Unbelievably patient. If you're planning to go into the Montana high country, especially in winter, I'm begging you, don't. Don't go into the remote areas. Don't go alone. Don't trust anyone you meet who seems just slightly wrong, who doesn't blink quite right, who bends at angles that don't make sense when you see them from the corner of your eye. If you see footprints in the snow that don't make sense, bare feet in sub-zero temperatures, stride patterns that change randomly, tracks that circle the same area over and over, turn around. Get out. Don't investigate. If you find destroyed traps or deer carcasses arranged in patterns, or any sign that something with intelligence and purpose has been in the area, leave immediately. And if you encounter someone who looks like someone you know but something feels off, something you can't quite name, run. Because what we found in 1994 is still out there, still learning, still hungry. Dave Colton was my best friend. He died trying to save us. The thing that wears his voice now isn't him. It's something else. Something that studied him as it took him apart. Something that learned every inflection, every gesture, every mannerism. And it's had 29 years to perfect the disguise. I don't know if I'll survive long enough to see this recording released. The calls have been getting more frequent, different numbers, different voices. Sometimes Dave, sometimes Elias. Once, disturbingly, my own voice. Last night, I saw someone standing across the street from my apartment. Tall figure in a winter coat, in Phoenix, in October, in 90-degree heat. It waved. The exact way Dave used to wave before we'd head out on a mission. I didn't wave back. I'm leaving Phoenix tomorrow, driving to the county clerk's office in Ridge County, Montana. I'm going to file these documents as public record, every page, every image, every recording, and then I'm going back into those mountains. I know it sounds crazy. Suicidal. But I need to end this. One way or another. That thing has been hunting us for 30 years, picking the perfect moment, always patient, always calculating. I'm done running, done hiding, done letting it control the terms of engagement. Dave deserves better than to have his face worn as a mask for 3 decades. Elias deserves better than to have died in terror, alone in the snow. All the victims before them, all the people who've disappeared in those mountains, deserve better. So I'm going back. If you're hearing this recording, it means I either succeeded or I failed. Either way, the truth is out. To my old team, Jennifer, Marcus, I'm sorry I couldn't protect you better. Sorry I left you carrying this weight for so long. You were the best partners anyone could ask for. To Dave's family, your son, your brother. Your friend died a hero. The thing that came back wasn't him. Never believe otherwise. To Sheriff Crow, wherever you are, I understand why you did what you did. I don't agree with it, but I understand. You were trying to protect people. Sometimes the truth is more dangerous than lies. But not anymore. Not this time. To everyone else, be careful in the wild places, the deep places, the cold places where civilization ends and something older begins. We like to think we've conquered nature, mapped every inch of it, explained away the mysteries. We haven't. We're still prey. We've just forgotten it. Remember that. And if someone you love goes missing in the mountains and they come back different, even slightly different, trust your instincts. That feeling of wrongness exists for a reason. It's older than language, older than consciousness. It's the part of our brain that remembers when we weren't the apex predator. Listen to it. This is Michael Whitlock, signing off. Whatever happens next, the truth is finally out there. God help us all. End recording. Addendum. Public Record Ridge County Clerk's Office. Filed. October 21st, 2023. Michael Whitlock's vehicle was found abandoned on Highway 89, approximately 40 miles south of Ridge County, Montana, on October 23, 2023. The engine was still running, driver's side door open, no signs of struggle. His body has not been recovered. His cell phone was found in the vehicle. The last call received was from an unknown number at 4:17 a.m. on October 23rd. The call lasted 14 seconds. When police reviewed the phone's voicemail, they found one message, time-stamped 4:18 a.m. Heavy breathing. Then a voice, multiple voices speaking in unison, male and female, young and old, dozens of voices layered on top of each other. Thank you for coming home, Mike. We've been waiting. We've missed you. Now we can all be together again. Forever. In the white silence, the message ended with laughter. Not human laughter. Search teams were organized. They found footprints leading from Whitlock's vehicle into the forest. Bare footprints, in 40-degree weather. The tracks went on for 3 miles, then simply stopped, as if whoever made them had vanished into thin air, or had been pulled upward, into the trees. No further evidence was discovered. Michael Whitlock was officially declared missing on November 15, 2023. This case remains open, as do the 17 other disappearances in the Montana high country over the past 30 years, all following the same pattern. All in winter. All near Devil's Throat. If you know anything about Michael Whitlock's disappearance, please contact Ridge County Sheriff's Department. And if you're planning to visit the Montana wilderness, please exercise extreme caution, especially in winter, especially alone. Especially if you see footprints that don't make sense. The mountains are old, patient, hungry, and they never forget.